We made it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pandemic Proof Singer Series. I am finally here with my guest today, who I will introduce in just a moment. Um, in case you don't know, I'm Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, vocal coach. I'm a singer with the Mighty Untouchables band, and soon to be host of the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. So save the date for November 16th, 17th, and 18th. If you are a singer in any capacity and you are just not sure what the heck you're going to be doing in 2021, make sure you join us for that because we have an incredible lineup of speakers that are going to give us some great insights and great direction. But enough of that business. Let me get to my guest here. We are making up from last week. As is life right now. Technical difficulties barred
Yeah.
us from getting together. But this is Jonny Tarr, and he is joining us from his hometown in Cardiff, Wales. Singer songwriter, just won the San Diego Music Award for Best Pop Artist in 2020. You recently headlined the NAMM show with your quintet, the Jonny Tarr Quintet. And
Absolutely.
you are working on all kinds of stuff. You released a live album this year that I listened to, and it's killer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And you're working on another. We have a lot to talk about. So let's start with why you're back in Wales.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one actually, because yeah, I'm very firmly entrenched in San Diego and um, very much in love with the city. Um, this little girl here, Ivory, my daughter, was born in San Diego, and
Ivory.
we, I came over to San Diego about 9 years ago, and met my wife, settled down, made a career. Ivory, speak up. Not my dress anymore. You want to see?
Yeah, you changed.
It's a Elsa Snuggly. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, we basically from going from having a pretty solid and happy music career in San Diego when the COVID pandemic hit, and like everyone else and everyone we know in our industry, it all disappeared. Um, One thing happened was I was given time to be able to create and write an album again. My wife said to me, "Why haven't you done this before?" And I said, "Well, I haven't had time. What COVID
mm,
afforded me was some creative time, but then as it dragged on, and we realised, oh, there ain't work coming back in the foreseeable future, and schools are closed, and we both had medical bills, and I thought personally, one of the things I thought was, man, if I get COVID, I can't afford it.
yeah.
Um, and so what we did was we decided, let's rent our house out. Um, so then at least the mortgage will be paid. We'll move back here to Wales where we can stay with parents, friends, family, possibly rent somewhere in along the line. And schools are open here, have been for the last few months, so our daughter can go and start getting a proper education. And I get my mother, Ivory's grandmother, gets some time with her, and um, we'd always said, me and my wife, from the beginning of our relationship, was at some point we're going to spend a year in Europe. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
have like a sabbatical, as it were. And we just thought, this is it. This is the opportunity. Everything's selling us to go and take that year now. So that was the main reason we came back, to be honest. Just it was kind of a lot of things aligned and went right. This is the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if there's going to be no real work at home, being San Diego's my home now, um, then I might as well take this opportunity to go back and spend some time with my family and continue working on the album. I'm recording it remotely with my band, so
Wow.
it's still kind of rolling, and it's really nice to be home, to be honest. So yeah, there was a lot of reasons for coming back, but I'm really glad we did for the time being, at least to
Yeah.
see what happens in the next few weeks, basically.
Oh, that's smart. That's really smart and good to, yeah, we're all kind of like reprioritizing life in that way.
Right.
Yeah, I know that you've had to deal with a ton of uprooting from San Diego and then getting yourself situated there. And I guess everybody's eagerly awaiting some live stream shows from you once the
Well,
Final
I
Eyes
mean,
are
I was so,
cooperating.
I was so disappointed yesterday because I'd already advertised it once, wasn't able to do it, and then I advertised it again for last night, and I was like, "Yeah, this is it. It's happening now." And literally 10 minutes before the stream, it just went, "No, I'm not. The internet box wasn't going to play ball," and I was really annoyed. I was really
Yeah,
annoyed
yeah.
because I've been writing all these new songs for the new album, like the lockdown album,
Okay.
but the thing is, like writing a song, as I'm sure you know, and many other songwriters will tell you, writing a song is very, very different in a lot of ways to being able to learn to play it and perform it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I mean, especially just from my own point of view, the way I write a song is I get on Logic or I get on my loop pedal and I make a beat, and then I'll write a bass line and I'll write chords and I'll write with lots of different instruments,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll record it. So then coming to be able to actually play it live in a solo setting, which is what I do for my live show with my loop pedal and my instruments and stuff like that, it's a very different thing. It's you're not just kind of coming up with ideas off the spur of the moment and just laying them down and mixing them and kind of writing lyrics for it. What you're doing is you're actually learning to put all that stuff together in one go and be able to do it in one take.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd done is I'd written all these songs, and then, oh wow, I can now start live streaming. So I've got to learn to play them. So I've been like learning to play them for the last 2 weeks, and then not being able to actually do that was really disappointing. So hopefully I do have one planned for tomorrow, a live stream, which will be noon San Diego time, 8 p.m. my time, or Greenwich Mean Time, UK time. I'm hoping to be able to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen for you. That's a really good approach. I always agree that, before recording, getting as much performance time in with a song as possible, because that's where all everything gels, everything, you work out all of those kinks and find all these new nuances in a song. So I like that. You will have the opportunity to start
Well,
performing
I mean,
them.
like also like to to like kind of reinforce what you're saying is like I had the the sort of luxury is I wrote pretty much, or I demoed pretty much the whole album before we moved back here,
Hmm.
and then I haven't done anything with it for like a month, and I've recently just started sitting down in the last couple of weeks and going over the songs again, and there's just like these little adjustments I want to make to that lyric here or a part of the beat there or just part of the groove here, and it's just like having that. I'm sure you've experienced it as many other people learning or getting to know a new thing have, is you kind of like do it, and then you have this little break from it, and then when you come back to it, it's all gone in a lot better, and it's like it settles in your head better.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how, but I know there's like a scientific school of thought on this. Like if you kind of intensely do something for a bit, like learning to play tennis or learning an instrument or learning anything, if you just give it that little hiatus, you let the information settle, and it kind of it's more a part of you. It's more a part of your fabric, sort of thing. And I know I'm getting a bit sort of tangential here,
Hmm.
but I've experienced this in many different kind of areas of my life where you kind of like force yourself, like go like really kind of immerse yourself at the coal face of something, and then you feel frustrated and you can't, like you're not getting where you want to, and you just have that break, and it's suddenly kind of like you've absorbed it later on at a later date. And that's kind of what's happened with this album, and sitting down to try and get into it again, I've gone, oh wow, that's what I wanted to do on the song I was stuck on, or things like that. So it's been things have been kind of serendipitous, actually. We've been really lucky. Like when we moved here, we came in and I was gonna go to the car auctions with my father to get like a secondhand car, and someone just gave us a car, said I was going to scrap it. Do you want it? You know
Oh,
what I mean? So it's like,
awesome.
wow, we've had all these kind of nice things sort of happen for us. So I think that we've just been really lucky, really lucky.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool. That's great. You're right. It is. That's a good life analogy. How the songwriting process, the pre-recording of it is. It does. It kind of mirrors life sometimes too. If you just let those neural pathways kind of sink in, then
Exactly.
things just
Yeah.
kind of organically roll out as they should. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Neural
good lesson.
pathways. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was looking for.
So tell me about the album. What are we going to hear? Who's the lineup in the band,
Right,
and
okay. Well,
when to expect it?
the lineup is my quintet. I'm very, very proud to be able to say that I have a quintet, and they are a solid group of musicians that I've been playing with for a good nearly 3 years now. The percussionist Monette Marino.
Oh yeah.
I've been playing with her for 7 years, possibly 8 actually. She's one of my closest friends and is just world-class percussionist. I mean, if you know her, if anyone listening knows her, they know that she's traveled to more countries than you can count on 3 hands, and
Hmm.
she's been an educator and just a fantastic person to be around
Yes.
for a very, very long time. And I'm lucky to say that she plays percussion in my band. Ken Dow on bass, who is world class. Matt
Hmm.
and Miles Clominter, guitar and drums, father and son duo. But they are my solid band, and they've been with me without personnel changes for a long time now. And so what we've done is I told them, look, I've demoed the album. I've got to go home for a bit. But what I want to do is you fire parts at me and we'll put them on. And Miles, who also is producing, the drummer's producing, we'll put them all together and we'll do it kind of internationally, if you like.
Hmm.
And what's really nice is that for me as a band leader, one of the hardest things is to ask anything of anyone, because all I want them to do is be happy and want to be there and want to be involved. And I'm so comfortable with this group of people because they've shown their interest in my project and my songs, and I've hopefully shown them loyalty too.
Hmm.
And whenever they've had to do a gig for no money to showcase my songs, I've always tried to give them back a gig that will pay them a little bit to make up for that. And we've done some big high-paying gigs, and we've done gigs for nothing. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just a team that I rely on, and I love them all. I can consider them all family. So what we're doing is we're creating these songs together that I demoed. And as far as the songs go, well, there's some sort of protest songs and political songs on this album,
Hmm.
whereas my album before this was very much a kind of dance music, funk, disco sort of album. Some of these are a bit more sort of angry about situations, and
Yeah.
then there's some also very much more. I'm not normally in my songwriting, am I very kind of like open
Hmm.
emotionally. Like I don't tell very much about myself. Like if you look at my Facebook page, I'll never put anything personal on there, or I'll never put pictures of family or anything like that. It's very much I'm as private as I can be with a social media account. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's kind of a new thing for me to be writing about things that make me vulnerable. I'm not very good. I don't state my vulnerability very often, but on these songs and a lot of this album is very much like I'm past that point now. I'm a bit sick of a few things, and I'm also very in love with some stuff and very in love with some people and other, So it's a bit more open. So there's also a song that my wife is going to be singing on.
Oh wow.
Um, Also, yeah, there's a little bit of my daughter singing that thing, that little furry thing you just saw, the little fuzzy. She's singing on one of them. So it's very much more a collaborative thing because I know and I trust and I love and can rely on the people that are on the album, sort of
Hmm.
thing. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of songs. There's a song about what we're doing to the planet. There's a song about there's a song about my absolute pure hatred of racism, and there's a song about my daughter. There's a love duet with me and my wife, and which we also recorded a video out in the Joshua Tree Desert, which is really cool. Actually, I'm going to release it after my live stream tomorrow night, if the live stream is able to go ahead. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Um, And I have to mention these guys. There's a dance company in San Diego called Disco Riot, headed up by my friend Zakia Salinas, and she was good enough to come and film that video, and donated the use of a couple of her dancers for the video. So it's a super professional, wicked, cool looking video, and the song is called "If I Didn't Need You," and that's going to be like a pre-release tomorrow as a video on Facebook and all the social platforms and YouTube. So yeah, as far as the album goes, I don't know what else to tell you about the album except that it's in the works, and I'm trying to get it done for the 2021 San Diego Music Awards. So the deadline is the 15th of December. We missed out on this whole year of basically, after I won the 2020 Best Pop Artist Award, I was hoping that this year in San Diego was going to be all right. All the festivals, all the touring, all the things I wanted to do, and it was just like, no, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
So that was bittersweet, to say the least, because one, it was really nice winning the award on the first time of entering the awards. That was great. But my plan was to like completely keep that momentum rolling and just go into, right, I want that gig. I want this gig. You can't tell me no now.
Yeah.
I just won this. So you've got to get, because those awards really open doors, as far as I've seen with other artists I know and loads of people I respect. It's really opened doors for them. So I was like, right, I'm going to keep that rolling. I'm going to get those festivals. I'm going to take my band. I'm going to go. It was part of repaying my band for their loyalty. Right, you did do these tiny little gigs for me for 2 years, and now we can go and do these bigger stages and these bigger festivals and things like that. And we were completely denied from that because of the pandemic. So I'm hoping to just roll it into the 2021 SDMAs. Hopefully enter. Hopefully get something out of it again and just kind of steam ahead and take it on from there, basically.
I'm sure you will. That is a super solid band lineup that you have.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. And
I believe your friend Lauren Lee.
Yep.
Yeah, she's done a little bit of work. In fact, she did our last big drive-in gig before I left. Like 2 days before I left, she was involved in that, and she's a super solid friend of mine and a phenomenal singer. And if she ever sends me those parts she was going to send me, then she'll go on the next album too.
She's chiming in on the chat right now, actually.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a lot of chatter going on. She's well, she says she misses your stupid face to begin with. And she says Lauren's stupid life keeps her from re-recording backing vocals. She's crying in the corner right now.
Oh, well, that's the thing. They're not even backing vocals. It's a lead feature on one of the songs, and I need her to kind of get ourselves together.
Come with it, Lauren. Come on.
Come on, Lazarou.
And
yeah, we spent a good time together, me and that lady.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she's confirming that the songs are personal and way more vulnerable. And Sandy King is in the chat too. Hey, Sandy. Wow. And she can't wait to hear and see all the new stuff. And
Sandy, I think I'm probably going to put the song in our hearts on this album. I wasn't going to. I was going to put it as a standalone tune, but when the whole thing kicked off after poor George Floyd, and we had the uprising that should be happening in modern America, I wrote a song that was not really kind of my normal style. It was very much a kind of more direct, and a lot of it was a bit more obvious than I'd write, but I wrote a song protesting brutality and inequality, and it was called The Song in Our Hearts. And I ended up releasing it to raise money for Black Lives Matter and the NAACP. And Sandy did some amazing vocals on that, and I've decided that I'm going to include it on the upcoming album. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to put it on there.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear that. She's saying she had a lot of fun doing that. And Josh Taylor's also in the chat, and he says, yes, it is a beyond solid lineup. Brilliant musicians all around. This is very, very
well.
Very
he has to be congratulated for his amazing guitar work on the same song that I'm talking about, the Song in Our Hearts, which was the protest against racial inequality and and police brutality and all the other terrible things that I see going on. But he played some amazing guitar on that. And actually, Josh, if you're listening, I'm going to need another guitar solo off you soon. So stay primed.
Yeah. Clear the schedule today. You got work to do.
Yeah. Clear everything till I get in touch.
Yeah. So when will we be expecting the new album?
Well, the new album, I tell you what, I mean, seeing as the 15th of December is the deadline for the submission date for the 2021 San Diego Music Awards, I'm going to keep tweaking it until the very last minute, I think, just to get, as much right as possible. But also, a dear old friend of mine here in the UK, a guy called Julian Fyson, and an old partner in crime called Sally Larkin, who are based in Bristol in England, which is only about an hour drive from where I'm from. It's the city which gave birth to Massive Attack and Banksy and Tricky and Ronnie Size, and the musical culture there is absolutely second to none in the UK. Well, he was the old Julian was the old drummer in the first band after I left college. We toured Europe and did Glastonbury and a lot of the big festivals in the UK. But he's just started a brand new record label called THUUMP Records, which is thump with 2 U's. Okay. So THUUMP Records. I think that's kind of like a legal thing. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Yeah, he's agreed to release the album on that record label. So that deadline of the 15th of December is kind of what the SDMAs require. But if Julian wants to put it out before then on THUUMP Records, then we'll do it before then. So as a very, very far deadline, it would be the 15th of December for the release of the album. But there will be like little pre-tasters and teasers going out. And I do urge everyone to try to tune into my live stream tomorrow, if at all possible, because if I can get that to work, I'm going to release the video and the first single from that tune, which is the one my wife's singing on tomorrow night, being night for us, but lunchtime for you in San Diego.
Yeah. That's exciting. I just know it's going to happen for you. Tell me about the live album that you did at Studio West this year.
Oh yeah. Well, that was kind of another sneaky getting into the San Diego Music Awards by the deadline thing as well. I mean, I didn't have a real new body of work before 2019's deadline for the 2020 awards. So what I did was because we'd been playing live a lot, I just went to the band, listen, we're going to run in Studio West and we're just going to play our set and record it. And we're just going to hand it into the San Diego Music Awards and call it a live album.
Okay.
And they all went cool. So we did 3 sets straight through, took the best one, smacked it down on the CD and sent it in. We didn't even really have artwork or anything like that. So we just sent it in by the deadline and then kind of like tried to put the other bits in place after that, like a CD cover and a logo and all the rest of it. But I mean, the deadline only required the audio in a digital file. So we just sent it in. And if it wasn't for people like Andy at Studio West, who's Miles, our drummer's really good friend, making our live set sound amazing, then it wouldn't have been doable. But we just kind of did it by the skin of our teeth, and that's the way how good things happen, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's how you do it. Like, we just got it in time. The hard bit was waiting another few months after the awards ceremony was supposed to happen for the results. That was quite hard because I worked really, really, really hard trying to drum up votes and trying to drum up like people trying to, support the live album and stuff. So the period after voting closed to the time that they actually announced the winner was like this, just like I wouldn't say it was nail biting, but it was just like, oh man, how can they make us wait this long? Obviously it wasn't their fault, but it was kind of it was a bit more of an unusual situation.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's cool to hear how that came together quickly, because it sounds amazing. It's
well, thank you.
Really, really great.
I mean, that's my band, I mean, I only did it because I knew they could handle being able to play a whole set perfectly and be recorded doing it. Mm-hmm. I knew they could do. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Always be the worst musician in your own band.
Yes.
Always be the worst musician in your own band, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
you
true.
know, they make the music better than it should be for me. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's great. So you, after your win in 2020, you did a drive-in concert, and
Mm.
I'm curious to know how that was for you because that was kind of, I think it was in August, so that would have been really at a point in quarantine where, as performers, we're all just like dying inside, right? To be out performing,
Yeah,
and you had a really cool lineup. And what was that like for you and everybody else in the
yeah.
band?
It was amazing in a lot of respects because when we got cancelled the day before and we didn't think it was going to happen, then they said,
Really?
well, you were going to headline the day before, but now you can open for someone else the day after. So it was kind of like, oh, wicked! I still get to play this show. Um, you know, we won the award. Um, we also got the dance company that I told you about. They all came out and danced for us. It was a great big stage. It had laser screens. It was a proper big concert, and it was fantastic. And it was the first proper gig we'd done since March,
Yeah.
right at the end of August. So it was a really big, happy and satisfying occasion for sure. And Lauren got to sing with us, and the band were on fire, and we were looked after. We were paid for a gig. It was a really cool situation, and I think that the people who came in their cars and because the whole car parking lot was completely full. A lot of people had come and backed in so they could open their hatchbacks and lie inside on cushions and it was a really cool situation. It was really good. It was really nice to be able to do before I came back to Wales for a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Lauren's chiming in saying that she really really enjoyed performing in that, and so much so that she cried. I don't blame her. I'm curious too with I think any performer would probably agree with this right now. That's something that we're just like hurting for, is that like energy that you get from a live audience and just feeding off of the energy from a crowd. But when you go and
Yeah.
you do a drive-in concert like this, what was that like? Could you receive that
Oh, right.
energy
So,
with the
so
way
like
that it was
in
set up?
comparison,
And
yeah. Well, do you know what was really cool was that instead of applauding, everyone honked their horns.
oh wow.
So it was kind of a new thing. It was a bit like being at a rave when
Okay.
everyone like would have an air horn just like, oh, you know what I mean? So it
Oh
was kind
fun.
of new and different. It was definitely as for me, it was definitely as vibey. I mean, I was playing all my own songs on a big stage for the first time in a long time, and you definitely felt an interaction when they were kind of honking their horns and stuff like that. But yeah, when you're playing, it was a bit. I mean, it's hard to say because when you're on a big stage, you have a kind of quite a substantial level of separation from the crowd anyway,
Mm.
and it's hard to tell with a lot of lights on you and like who's there. I mean, like Lauren will tell you when we did the tour with Foreigner and we were kind of on big stages in the dark, you couldn't. It was like you were in under the deep sea. You had
Yeah.
all these lights on you. You couldn't see any of the crowd whatsoever.
Mm.
So it was a little bit like that. There was a bit of a separation, you know. But when the songs end and you get that feedback, it's not like because most of us have done a lot of small gigs where you're this close to the audience and you know exactly what they're thinking, let alone saying or shouting or screaming. So
Yeah.
um, it, it was really nice every time the song finished, but there was that slight bit that takes getting used to while
Yeah.
the songs are happening. But if you're focused on what you're doing, that shouldn't be a big problem anyway, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys got to do that. That's really cool. I hope more of those will be popping up in the future.
Well, let's hope so.
Um
Yeah. I mean, you
yeah.
can never deny the power of Pink Floyd, though, man. I mean, that's always going to be rolling around the planet at
Yeah. Some
some way
things
or
won't
other.
be stopped for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about your musical background and upbringing in music, because the stuff that you do is really it's different. Not a lot of people are making music like this, just the musicality of it. And it's really funky, really upbeat. I know that you said that you like to make music that makes people dance. How Tell me about your background in music and kind of how that evolved for you.
All right. So when I was about 7, my mum, we were all really good friends with a family around the corner who the mum was really keen on making the kids learn music, but only the daughter took to it. And
Mhm.
my mum saw what was happening with the daughter, and she seemed to be getting a lot out of it. So my mum asked if she could go and get piano lessons as well, and I went along to one, and then I ended up getting piano lessons and started kind of fiddling around with piano. But the piano teacher I was sent to was really, really old. So when you're 7 and your piano teacher's in their 80s, it's kind of a bit of a, and I was left there on my own at her house, and it was like this really old house. And I wouldn't say it was creepy, but it was just really kind of unusual for me. And so I kind of like went off music for a few years
Okay.
until I realized that it maybe if I got a saxophone, girls would like me.
Yeah,
Right. So
definitely.
I got a saxophone, and it didn't really kind of go that way immediately, but I ended up really starting to enjoy music. And the first music I got into was not really kind of like the more highbrow jazz that a lot of kids my age who were playing music were into, but I got bang into things like Glenn Miller and like big band swing and stuff like that, and I was really, really, really into it. And I was doing acting at the time as well, and I ended up being the band leader in this kind of music drama acting hybrid show that was put on. Um, and kind of like went into music from there. So jazz and the saxophone were kind of my way into music. Um, and I was really heavily into jazz until I got to music college, and I went to the Paul McCartney School in Liverpool. Well, LIPA it's called, Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, when I was 20. And when I got there, I just kind of got like inundated with all this other music that was happening in the UK at the time, like house music, and drum and bass was a big thing, and drum and bass like Ronnie Size, and kind of like the double time reggae bass line breakbeat kind of thing that was happening. And we decided, me and my friends, to do it live, because obviously at the time that was solely programmed and produced music. And
Mhm.
so me and my friends in college decided to form a live drum and bass band, in which I was I started off as a saxophone player, but I was like, well, we need a vocalist here. So I decided to start singing and kind of writing lyrics and stuff like that. And when college ended, we went down south, because Liverpool was in kind of the northern part of the country, and we went down south we were going to go to London, but London's hard, man. It's hard on you. So we ended up going to a town called Brighton, which is about an hour south of London, on the south coast of the UK. And it kind of took off for us, actually. We were doing really well. We would, like you said, it was kind of dance music, but there was a lot of like musical training that kind of like got infused into it. And
Mhm.
we ended up doing like opening the jazz stage at Glastonbury, which is basically the biggest music festival in the UK, and that was a big thing. And did a bit of touring around Europe and stuff. And when that kind of ended, I bought a loop pedal and started like wholly writing songs on my own, because I knew enough about how to play the piano and enough about how to play the guitar to be able to kind of like construct songs on my own. And it sort of developed more from there. And I've just been writing music ever since, developing my voice and my guitar playing and my keyboard playing, and being more of a singer-songwriter producer now. Although the saxophone is my first instrument and my first love as far as instruments go,
Mhm.
I'm definitely more of a singer-songwriter who produces his own stuff, and kind of tries to be more in control of every part of the song, rather than just being a singer or a saxophone player.
Mhm. And how about with voice? Do you have formal voice training, or is this just natural for you? Because your voice is amazing.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Thank you very much. I mean, sometimes I think that, I mean, I can sing really high,
Mm-hmm.
and that has been something I haven't necessarily worked on. Is something I've always been able to do, and I kind of attribute that to being a saxophone player for over 30 years of my life, because it's all that, isn't it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's all that and getting the shape right, and you can put out any note you like. I think a lot of it is psychological and allowing your body to do it. But I did when I was talking about Glastonbury Festival and my first band after college, I did start getting real bad stage fright when we started to do bigger gigs and touring and stuff. And I did go for a few vocal lessons with a guy called Peter Evans in Brighton. And if he's listening or ever gets to listen to this, thank you, mate, because you totally sorted me out.
Oh,
Totally, I can't recommend the guy enough. Peter Evans. He basically taught me about the the teeth thing, right? That, which is invaluable, and it can feel a bit unnatural to do it. But if you're ever feel like you're going for a note and you're gonna struggle, get your teeth out and you can shape it, because I often think about it like, when you see those old cartoons of Tom and Jerry where they're like on a cruise liner and there's the funnel sticking out of the deck like that,
yeah,
and it's just a tube like that, and then it's got open mouth to it like that.
yeah,
I always just think if you can make your voice, your throat and your mouth do that shape, you'll always be able to get a note out.
yeah,
And so the 5 or 6 lessons that I had with him were absolutely invaluable to me, because it's never failed me, that technique.
yeah.
So as far as formal training, I didn't have like a degree or like an extensive period of teaching or practice, but I had 4 or 5 lessons with this guy where he just like he flipped a switch for me, basically.
Yeah. That's great. Well, yeah, well, it's definitely worked. Your voice is really incredible. And I
Well, that's
totally agree
very
too.
kind of you. Thank you.
It doesn't sometimes it doesn't take much to really um have a singer make a breakthrough like that, because what I've seen is in a lot of cases with singers, there a lot of it happens because you're putting too much heavy lifting on the throat and not engaging
Yeah.
enough of your other features like your
Yeah,
face
it's not good in
muscles,
space. I mean,
face.
I absolutely swear by the diaphragm. That's what I swear by.
Right, right.
But yeah, you can, yeah, because you're a vocal coach as well as being a performer, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's so much more that you can engage to do heavy lifting for you that
Yeah.
makes a big difference. But
And yeah, no, and straining anything is never the way to get it, is it?
no, it's not. Yeah. So you guys are out in Wales now,
Yeah.
and you did you tell me that you are going into another lockdown now?
That's right. It started yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
That's tricky. Really tricky having 4.5-year-old. It's tricky having family in the music business to begin with. What is that like as a dad having very young child and trying to live the music life? Because it's a very,
Mm.
very different lifestyle as far as the kind of hours you work, when you are home, when you're not home, when you're trying to be creative, but also be responsible at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it took me a while, and I used to give myself a very hard time about it because I wasn't able to. It took me a long time to transition from being this like I do what I want and I do what I
Mhm.
think and I get out as like to. It took me a long time, but fortunately, one, my wife tells me that it's like that for most men. It
Mhm.
takes a little while to kind of make that transition, and I've
Sure.
heard that from other places, and I attest to it. I mean, I don't want to generalize too much, but I'm just going from what I've been told and what I've experienced. The other thing is my wife is an absolute angel, possibly the most amazing and good, wonderful person I've ever met in my life, let alone married. I mean, she's fantastically patient and forthcoming with ideas that can improve things. And she gives me a lot of leeway because I mean, She lost her job for a little while back when we were first married, and I provided for both of us through music. So she understands it's not a hobby, you know what I mean? Which a lot of people don't seem to understand. It's provided for our family and paid a mortgage for a good while. So it's hard, and basically it all depends on what you want to be. Do you want to be a fly by the seat of pants solo musician who does what they want, or do you want to be a musician who does what they want and be a good parent and be a good family person and care? What you choosing? Because you can't choose both. And I tried to choose both for a bit, going, oh, I can do both. I can wake up with a hangover every morning and look after my family. But no, it doesn't work like that. Right. So it's just a case of deciding what you want to keep in your life, right? Because you can keep the performing and you can keep the writing and but you can't keep the partying and the late nights as much. So you just get earlier gigs, or you get less long gigs or less stressful gigs, or you just kind of you just play smart. You know what I mean? You decide what you want. Do you want to be a party monster, or do you want to keep a good family relationship and keep the music in your life? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It just depends which side you want to go.
Yeah. I like that response too. All of the singers on here that I've talked to that, have kids and everything, I think we all agree that it's there's just there's no right way of doing it. It's just you do what works for you, and it's pretty evident when it's not working and you have to change,
Adaptation's a big thing, and you have to show respect to your partner. You have to show respect to your children. You have to, I wouldn't say that you have to prioritize any one thing. It's about balance, and it's about how you balance it and what you show commitment to.
Yeah.
I commit to my music, and I commit to my daughter, and I commit to my wife. It's not too much to ask, is it? Any functioning person can commit to a few things without losing themselves in other stuff, I think.
Yeah. It's amazing after, having kids, how much it does. It changes everything. It really, really does. And kind of looking into the future, being amidst this pandemic, it's changed everything for all of us yet again.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know your thoughts on the path forward in 2021, how like what your overarching goals are, musically, and kind of do you have a game plan in place as far as you're going to write the album and you're going to really, really focus on live streams, or do you have different ideas about how you're going to, build momentum and, a sustainable career?
Well, I think that through every little hardship, you're either winning or you're learning. And I know that sounds like a really crass sort of like soundbite, but I read that the other day. And yeah, if you can't adapt and use every mistake you make to your advantage, then you're not learning, are you? And so the live streaming that I was doing before, I was doing for the speaker company QSC, and it was always just this big effort where I had to like set everything up, clear the sofas away, and oh my god, because I take up quite a lot of space with my gear, and it's like, and it was just such an effort. I was like, oh my god, I can't do. So when the pandemic came along, I was like, I'll just stick it all in my garage. I don't have to move it I didn't have to move it for 6 months. So live streaming was a breeze. It was more of a breeze than going gigging. You know what I mean? I could go and sit in there, switch it on, Facebook Live, bang, there we go. And hopefully those skills that I've developed, like the multi-camera thing I was doing for a while, and just being able to know how to use my hashtags and all the stuff that I avoided before because it was just too damn nerdy for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, well, I've learned it now because I didn't have an excuse not to. So all that stuff, yeah, I'm going to continue live streaming even when the live gigs come back. But as a result, I've come over here and I'm going to start live streaming. And I've actually managed to, my friend Brad Zell over at QSC has got me in touch with the QSC speakers people here in the UK and Europe, and I'm actually now officially endorsed by them. I signed the endorsement agreement last week, and they're sending me stuff. So it's like as a result of those things, you just you focus on what you can focus on.
Mhm.
If restrictions say no, you can't go out and play gigs, then just don't sit around twiddling your thumbs. Do
Mhm.
something. And I know I've got to give it props to all my San Diego people. I can't speak for the people here in the UK because I've just got back and I don't really know how they're like playing the field. But all my friends, Josh Taylor and Sandy and Lauren, and I know everyone's been like, it hasn't slowed Whitney Shea down. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
I mean, I know
Right.
that for a fact. I mean, so you'd like, if you want to do something, nothing. If you want to do it, nothing's going to stop you. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so the live streaming will continue. Hopefully I'll have two setups. One I can leave set up so I can go and just stream, and then the setup I can take out, because unplugging stuff, unplugging it back in different configurations, because you end up missing something and it won't work either end. So having the two different setups, that's the ideal situation. Also, I've got a plethora of musicians here that I know, and as soon as we can get out gigging again, we will.
Mhm.
I'm planning to be here till September next year, but who knows what's going to happen in those 10 months. So we'll see. I mean, we've got to come back to San Diego next September, but who knows what's going to stick here and what's going to stick there, and maybe we'll spend half the time here and half the time there. But above all else, I want to be a recording artist, and I want this new album and this new release with the THUUMP Records to start to speak for the things I'm creating. And to be in the studio all the time, that'd be great. But I'd miss gigging, and to
Yeah.
be gigging all the time, I missed being in the studio, which lockdown afforded me that time to start doing that again, develop my own production skills. So hopefully all the things that are new and all the things that have been missed, it'll just exponentially unfold.
Mhm.
That's what I'm hoping, that's what I intend to happen.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great advice. I love that you said that, just that you allowed yourself to go and do some more of the nerdy stuff that you'd resisted before, like figuring out hashtags, figuring out how to work a camera and everything.
I can't
And
bear it.
I really think that that's something that we all have to keep in mind, is just to stay flexible, stay open to, thinking outside of the box, and learning those things that are, I don't know, seem daunting to you, because, now you have this whole other kind of treasure trove of skills and things that you can take into the future. Even
Yeah,
when the live stuff, comes back, I think we've all just got to be more trying to get on the forefront, of things like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um,
You can't allow things to slow you down. I mean,
yeah,
anyone complaining about it is out of ideas.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's true. That's really true. Um, with the album coming out, obviously when you put out an album, supporting it with shows is really vital to it. What's your plan as far as when the album comes out, how you're gonna
Well,
distribute it,
that's
market
a
it?
that's a good question. It's just reminded me of something I wanted to do, and it was proven so hard. What we were trying to do at the beginning of the pandemic was get our synchronized live streaming together, and I haven't looked into it for a couple of months, but I still don't think they've got it because of the latency issue. It's really
Yes.
hard. So what
Mm-hmm.
you've got to do is all record your parts, have a video editor, put it all together, and um, that takes hours and hours and weeks, and it takes ages for one song to come out. So I do know of one friend of mine here who did, although it was kind of on a very highly professional level, they did it through the BBC because he's in a really fairly, pretty successful band called Mama's Gun, and they've been going for quite a while. My friend Andy Platts, but they had the BBC. I'm not sure how they do it. They did it, but they live streamed them all in sync. And so I think it takes a bit of kind of processing power to be able to do that. But what I'd really like to do is, if we can't get together and perform, then I would like to arrange kind of quite high end live stream of the band playing it together,
Yeah.
if at all possible, as an album release. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, I have a great friend on the East Coast who's done a ton of experimentation with Sound Jack. And are you familiar with Sound Jack?
No, but it sounds like it might be a similar thing to Jam Kazam. Have you
Yes.
heard of that one? Right,
Same thing, same thing. Sound Jack is one, I think it's the out of the Stanford Music Lab. I
right.
believe they are the ones that are doing most of the work on it.
Well, the
But
Stanford
anyways,
Music Lab sounds pretty legit to me.
it's legit, yeah. um, but she's doing all this experimentation and working on the low latency and more high fidelity sound with it. And just last week we did a little um, session together. She is on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast,
Oh wow,
and
really?
we
Oh,
dialed it in enough, made enough adjustments that she was playing and I was singing in time. We had very little latency, but then we didn't sit there and we didn't take the time to make all the really like fine micro adjustments that you can make. But if you have a group of people or a group of musicians, these platforms really are at a point right now that if you take the time to um,
mm.
make the individual adjustments on each end. I mean, I've heard a jazz trio, I've heard a choir, a couple of different ensembles that are making it happen. I mean, technology is, as you know, very finicky, but it's almost there, I think.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's we got a month and a half to kind of try and organize something and that like that, and that's what I'd really like to do because
Mhm.
I want to play with my band again.
Yeah.
You know, I want to play my they're not just musicians to me. They're not just friends either. They are family, all of them. You know,
Yes.
we hang out a lot and we care about each other a lot. So being able to translate that into a live show after all this time would be absolutely amazing, especially to release a new album together, which we're all working on independently of each other in different parts of the world. So
Hmm.
yeah, we might have to talk about this afterwards. Actually, you know,
Absolutely.
see,
Yeah, that
see
would be a really
how that's
cool,
working.
innovative way to market it. But yeah, I'd love to share that information with you. Um, I just I so appreciate you taking the time to do this, and that I'm so glad that our technology, the Wi-Fi gods, were smiling upon us today. Yes, you're making really great music. I love everything that you're doing. So deserving
Oh,
of the award that you won, and I think it's going to happen for you next year. So we'll all be rooting for you and anticipating the album coming out. And where can everybody find your stuff?
well, all of my stuff up to this point is on Spotify. um, so just get into Spotify and Google Jonny Tarr. No H in Johnny, two R's in Tarr.
Hmm.
Um, the protest song or the inequality protest song that I made with Josh and Sandy and Whitney was on it, and Ken and Miles and Matt Clomancer, they were all on it. That is a separate entity, and that is on um, Bandcamp actually, and it's called the Song in Our Hearts,
Okay.
and it's johnnytarmusic.bandcamp.com. And
Okay.
any money you donate to buy that song will be sent directly to the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So
Excellent.
I do strongly recommend that you get it. It's a wicked song. It's very, very, very uplifting. So
Cool.
really
I'm
have a listen
definitely
to
going to link to it. That's great. And
it.
and big shout out to everybody that joined us today. You had all kinds of friends chiming in. Josh Taylor, speaking of Josh Taylor, Chris Buskirk, Sandy King, Lauren Lee, Molly Lynn, Chuck
Yeah.
Phillips. Hey, Chuck. Speaking of sax players, um, thank you so much, everybody. Rick Schmidt. Hey, um, we will catch you on the next one. I'll link to all of your good stuff. And oh, and just a reminder to everybody to save the date of November 16th, 17th, 18th. I'll be hosting the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. We're going to be talking about all kinds of innovative ideas like we did, about the low latency
Yeah.
platforms. We're going to be talking about sync licensing, all things singing and kind of creating the path forward in 2021. So thank you, Jonny. It's so good to talk to you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yay.
I
All
really
right.
appreciate
All right.
it.
We'll talk soon. Take care,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.